Alright, we are recording, continuing in Just Cause 2. I don't have a whole lot for note to talk about, which is fine. Yeah, they're actually... Yeah, and there's some other things I guess back to just off my memory. Yeah, there's one. I actually didn't put this in the write-up. I could have. Friday write-up. I could have, but I didn't. Just because I didn't see... I was only able to skip... The hell? I don't recall ever loading in holding a Gatling gun before, but I like it. I don't quite remember where I'm going. Here we can go. CDPR, CD Projekt Red, has turned 20, I believe it was. Yeah, when I got the press release for that, was a little... I was already clocked in at work, so I couldn't take, like, much time for something to write that into the thing I'd already written. And didn't look... I could only skim it, and it didn't look like there was anything super... Like, oh yeah, I have to make sure I write this up and get it.
Don't take no passengers.
But yeah, 20 years ago. And it's... in some ways become... well... yeah, I guess that's fair. It's not really become a powerhouse studio, but a very influential one, CDPR. Because the Witcher series definitely has influenced the game industry. Whoops. Okay, that actually kind of worked. GOG has not as much influence as some may like, but it's still, you know, a worthy storefront competitor to Steam. It's just, you know, not necessarily as successful as some would want. What all do we actually have? Alright. I mean, while I'm here, why not try to find the drops like the one over there? Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the next 20 years is. Yeah, so there's that. There's also Techland has begun the Bloody Summer free event for Dying Light 2. I might. Probably on the test system, though. I still have it installed on both the desktop and the test system, but I might play it on the test system. Just, it'll run a little bit better since it's the 2060 versus the 580 in the desktop.
What are we even doing in this insane place?
Here we come!
So,
Want some more, tough guy?
It increased chance of limbs being cut off. You cut off one, gets you a Harker token. If you cut off 300, you get a special, the Cutting Edge Axe. And if altogether 3 million limbs are cut off, then everyone gets a special Night Runner costume. Or Night Runner gear. Was it actually? No. I don't remember if it was costume or if it was like actually Night Runner armor. Still, you know, kind of neat. And that, in case you were wondering, if the whole community does 3 million, that's there was some Dying Light 1 events over the same way, and I'm certain other games as well have done that. I'm just saying that not that unusual. Okay, I need to figure out. I kind of doubt there is more up, so I need to figure out what I need to blow up. I believe there being a propaganda truck around, but I didn't see Oh, there's also all this. This is all part of it, so I didn't know. Okay, yeah, I must have blown that up when I was flying by in a helicopter. Not this. Aw. I'll need some vehicle to break through there, but I don't feel like stealing one of the military jeeps. I don't want to provoke an alert immediately. I'm just trying to remember if there was any other video game. Well, one thing I saw yeah, I guess that actually is from this week. Okay. Some crazy person did the amazing thing of getting, now that FSR 2, which I talked about last week, AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2, now that is open source, and I think it actually is offered as a DLL as well, but in any case, I think it was somebody managed to make it into a DLL, and then replaced the DLSS DLL with that for Cyberpunk 2077, meaning they hacked in episode 2.0 to that game in a way that's kind of sort of drop-in. Is it as effective as a native implementation? Of course not. But it still showed a way to get it in there. And that is kind of significant. If nothing else, that could suggest a means for developers like CDPR, since they are the ones behind behind Cyberpunk. It could suggest a means for them to, if they already have DLSS in there, drop it in, see how it looks, and start figuring out, okay, do we want to take the time to actually do it right? Or it could also just be a way for crazy people in the community to, go in there and be like, oh, I'm gonna, make this now. I'm just gonna do this so that I can run FSR on these games without, in place of DLSS, because my thing or that thing doesn't support DLSS. I'm gonna try to pick this stuff up first. There. Yeah, so the stuff I actually have noted, though. One, actually not sure, because I've not seen much about it, so I don't know how legitimate, how significant it is, but at least supposedly. Okay. Some group managed to infiltrate AMD and steal a bunch of data, and is trying to, negotiate for it to not be shared. Saw some stuff about this, but I've not seen a whole lot, so I don't know how much it is. And one thing that I saw places pointing out was is being reported as 420 something like that gigabits, because it was a lowercase b, which could either be a typo or it was actually in bits and they're just converting it from bytes to bits because that's a way to make the numbers. But whether or not the company actually has been hacked, no idea.
Ah, you found a case of goodness! Excellent work, Scorpio!
Allegedly, though, they got in because there were some things that were protected by passwords of password.
Scorpio, I have a small infection I wish you to cure. You see, a band of independent smugglers are using the Roach's smuggling routes for their own small-time runs. It might seem innocent and even adorable the way they carry on, but I know these small infections soon become great sicknesses. You must kill this bacteria, just like a shot of antibiotics.
as it is with great firepower, can help you administer the shot if you wish.
I kind of like this idea.
Smugglers, get them!
Oop.
Reporting hostiles in a sector. Okay, only
There we go.
that will send a message to any would-be independent smuggling units in the future, eh, Scorpio?
One thing I did see some people pointing out with the possibility of, would AMD or any company actually have passwords as simple as that, as predictable as that? As I point out, sometimes when you're doing maintenance, you will reset things, including resetting a password to something very simple as part of the maintenance. And all it takes is then forgetting to set it back, and suddenly gone. But it still is, don't know, and even then, there's the whole, well, AMD would have a lot of data. Some of it would be meaningless. None of it you'd want to leak, but it's, it's not like this would have to be, the designs for Zen 6 or whatever. So, yeah. Other thing, that this is not so much rumor. Well, actually, I think initially some of it was, but then there was also part of it that was, like, actually public. But it's interesting either way. AMD doing... Hang on.
Cover me, I'm going in.
AMD doing work on wave matrix multiplication accumulation, I think it is. It's in my notes, but since I'm being shot at, I kind of want to deal with that first. That.
For the glory of Panau! There he is!
Now, this kind of work is potentially related to tensor math. Tensors are a kind of... It's a specialized kind, but are in some ways a kind of matrix. The difference is that while... A way to think of it is a matrix is just a format of storing data, but that's all it does, is it stores it. A tensor is different in that the data will change within it, so it's kind of living, I guess would be a way to put it, whereas a matrix is... So... I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Because tensors are also used in physics. So it's like if... Let's just get over here. Oop. What did I do?
Move out, move out!
Wow, that didn't kill him. For reasons, I'm going back to the helicopter. this is part of the roots. I can do that. It's also, I can do that.
Repeat, stand air support.
And now I can do this. Okay, let me also look. I am not seeing anything I need to blow up. I am hearing that I need to start climbing.
Missile launched.
So in physics, a tensor could be used where if the environment changes, the tensor will change with it. That is not the case with a matrix. Okay? So they are different. They are intrinsically different. But it is still, to look at them, they can look very similar. So some of the math involved might also be similar.
Request for air support granted.
Oh, come on. And I'm just going to keep going. Okay, it's all the way down there. So it might actually not spot me. No, it's spot me. Oh no, this guy's spotted. But, yeah, the fact that AMD is working with it could imply that, yes, they are indeed working on some sort of Tensor Core-esque design in, for RDNA 3.
Missile launched.
Okay, it's gotta become that. So, let's deal with this. I don't even see where I need it. Perfect. One, but I think there's another.
Talk about eating.
So yeah, that initially was like just a rumor, but then AMD also shared Rock WMMA, which, whoa, I didn't realize that they already had something right here and behind me. There we go.
Don't take no passengers.
There it is. Okay, that should be the last of that. So the Rock WMMA, it would be to
ETA 30 seconds.
how to take advantage of it in the compute stuff. Rock is, I think AMD technically as well, but it's kind of the CUDA competitor for AMD. Yeah. Now what's interesting is that means then that you are going to be able to do that kind of stuff on current AMD hardware. It's not going to be limited to RDNA 3. RDNA 3 perhaps could have special optimization, but is not going to be a requirement for this. Damn it. Right. not as good as a tank. Yeah, this is one of those, this vehicle is only useful if you can have 2 people driving. Alright. Feeling they would be something. I guess one thing that I could also speculate a little bit on is, would AMD, assuming this is something Tensor-like, do a FSR 3 that would actually directly utilize some sort of trained neural network, or whatever trained object, in order to improve on graphics a la DLSS, because right now both versions of FSR are kind of hardware agnostic. They don't use such specialized method. Would AMD go to using that? And just what do I think? It's hard to say. On the one hand, well, if they were to, it would not be an RDNA 3 launch thing, because RDNA 3 is expected this year. At least announcements this year, right? FSR 2.0 is still new. Like, it's almost still brand new. You wouldn't have its successor, especially one that is going to require more advanced technology. You wouldn't have that right away. That would not make sense. But they could still have a plan for it in mind, that and already have certain groundwork laid in RDNA 3 to take advantage. But it's also, I do feel that if they're going to be working on that, they're not going to do anything with it publicly for a while. That NVIDIA was able to respond to FSR 1.0 in part because it was open source. They could just start doing it themselves. And they did. They added support for at least some portions of it into the different injector things that they have. 2.0, I don't know if NVIDIA will actually respond to it beyond just, oh, well, we're going to improve on DLSS. I don't think that they would try to go to to something that doesn't rely on the neural network stuff, the trained neural network of DLSS. I don't think they would do that, because that would too strongly undercut DLSS, especially because if you can get 90% of the way there, and some people might say FSR 2.0 is closer than 90% to DLSS 2, you don't then, you don't start competing with yourself when it's that close, because that means you're just going to be cannibalizing the higher end thing. I mean, consider G-Sync, but the situation might be even worse than that. And what I mean by bringing up G-Sync is, with FreeSync, AMD showed that, hey, you don't need the specialized hardware for this. And NVIDIA ultimately had to, give support, right? They applied themselves, though, to make it now G-Sync compatible, so trying to wipe out the FreeSync brand, but it worked. NVIDIA was broken there, and the difference between that and full-on G-Sync, somewhat small for a lot of people. It became sort of the standard, the quality standard that had to be met for something to be G-Sync. And also, like, who does NVIDIA have as partners strong enough that they could make sure that no, this is always only G-Sync. It is never going to be FreeSync and G-Sync. NVIDIA can do that. But the problem is that hardware is a bit different than software. It's like it would be much easier to convince a monitor company, only support us, we can cut you the check to make sure of that. Because even without that specialized hardware, it'll still work. But with a game where it's like, we get this implemented in a few days in this other method, and everyone can benefit from this, but NVIDIA's like, well, we'll give you money not to. It's like, that might be a little harder. And also NVIDIA, it isn't quite that simple. It isn't quite as simple as NVIDIA, like, we'll just give you money not to do this. No.
It was worth every minute.
The cost, this is only my speculation, by the way. The cost of implementing FSR would be would be very low compared to the cost of, hey, we're designing a monitor, we want to, do we want to also support FreeSync with this or just G-Sync? Yeah, if there's a situation like that and NVIDIA's like, we're gonna, cut you a deal, whatever, on the G-Sync modules, okay, yeah, you only support G-Sync. Because that could be months of work to make sure you get the FreeSync, make sure you get FreeSync support in the scaler otherwise. Because that's what the G-Sync module is. It's the full scaler. It's the full thing that handles taking the input signal, figuring out how to send it to the monitor, to the actual display. I mean, there will be some others, specific things, but it's the scaler. That's a major portion. Replacing that is not trivial. That would take a long time. So that it does make a lot of sense that you could see G-Sync only monitors, but you may see fewer and fewer and fewer DLSS only supporting it. As I said, it's all just my speculation. I don't really know what I'm talking about. It's just like, what kind of makes sense to my brain. Yeah, I got to that from the WMMA stuff. But yeah, RDNA 3 is going to be interesting to see how that goes. Very interesting. Alright, so the last thing that I have in the notes here is also a rumor. I actually was only seeing that today, and don't forget I'm doing this on Friday. I think it was today. Maybe I saw something back. Rumor that AMD may be preparing a 5600X 3D and 5900X 3D. So these would be, with the 6-core and also 12-core, but with the Vcache, 3D Vcache on there to make them better for gaming and stuff. Do I think it's possible? Yes and no. Yes, in that AMD... This is also pure speculation, because I don't know how they would actually compose some of this stuff. Like, are the dies in the 5800X 3D, 5800X, well, normal CCDs, normal compute dies, and it's like, hey, this is good enough, we'll slap the thing on top. Or is it, no, they have to make certain changes in their design so that it can support the X3D, or the Vcache on top. If it's the former, then I'm less likely to believe it. If it's the latter, I'm less likely to believe it. If it's the former, then I can definitely believe it. And it's also, like, in theory, they're trying to make this for Epic. Have Epic CPUs with V-cache. There would be some dies that fail that, maybe also fail 5800X 3D. If you got one of them, 5600X 3D. If you got two of them, 5900X 3D. Sounds like a good plan, right? Well, I don't know. You'd really be pushing as far as price. The 5900X 3D would be a very difficult CPU. And part of the reason why that is true, I mean, that's not a speculation, that is a true statement, is I can still remember that a point was being made by some that the 5900X was actually the best gaming CPU in the 5000 lineup. That it was binned well enough. There we go. And the two dies had sufficient cache on their own, and to then also combine together to actually make for a very powerful gaming CPU. And it was 12 freaking cores, making it, you know, even more powerful for general things. It really was like the best all-round CPU there. So you add in the cache, the extra cache, and that will be very effective. Okay, I don't want to use this, guys. That will be very effective at gaming and at multi-thread. I mean, that would be enough, that depending on the price, because I've talked about how for the test system, I would like to upgrade it, and if it were just for me, I'd go 5900X, because I do enough processing and such, because I've started just having it do some of the video processing rather than my desktop. Because it's just nice to not load down the desktop. And sometimes FFmpeg causes a hard lock on the desktop too, so I avoid it this way. But it's just, I do that, and it's, you know, if I put a 5900X in there, that's going to be a lot better than if I, you know, just don't. But, then if I were to go with a 5800X, X3D, 5800X 3D, which would be better for gaming, a lot better for gaming, but I also still want the test system to be kind of an average build, which, yeah, as I said, the 5900X would, you know, very powerful. They're still more powerful, still better, still are better, gaming CPUs than it, though, so I'm actually looking to first. There. Now, where are the grenades? Should upgrade those as well, since I do. Because, like, yeah, depending on price, I could see going to the a 5900 X3D. And it's like that way I get, you know, sort of the best of both worlds. All right. Yeah, sure. Let's go with this. And I'll upgrade. But this is also what I will. And also upgrade this while I'm here. But yeah, will such things be made? I don't know. It's part of what makes it hard to say is Zen 4 is coming. Now, true, different platforms. So that could be a, yeah, we're not going to have to worry so much about competition between them. But it's still just... It's hard to see what AMD would get out of that, other than just selling dies that they couldn't otherwise. I mean, there is, of course, that. But it is also, if they just have, like, oh yeah, we can just do a different offer, another SKU for Epic, that would make them a hell of a lot more money, probably. And avoid the whole, are we competing with ourselves now? With Zen 4? It would, though, do one thing, especially the 5900X 3D. Well, a hypothetical 5900X 3D. That's going to be a much more complicated CPU. So by actually making that, it's a show of strength. That, hey, look at this amazing thing that we've achieved. And it's a way for them to, you know, get more live testing of it. So, yeah. It is one of those, I can see advantages on both sides. I can see reasoning to both sides of the argument, for and against. But it is only a rumor, so will it happen? No idea. Probably not, because even if it were 50-50 for the reasons, it's still it's a rumor. So it's less likely to happen right there. But it's also true that, you know, sometimes rumors are allowed to be started to see what community response would be. And as I said, for me, it would depend on pricing. But that would be, like, perfect for me to throw into my test system for what it is I use a test system. You know, for when I need to do extra processing, video processing, perfect. For when I need to do gaming stuff, perfect. I mean, it's... Oh, I just realized that I also have machine guns on. I don't on the ones that you can just find in them. Would there be a 5950 X3? I don't think so. Just, that would be such a Halo product. It would be potentially too expensive to actually see it sold. It would also risk outcompeting, or just being in competition with... I could see that more so competing with Zen 4, not knowing anything about how Zen 4 is supposed to perform. But I could see that being an issue, along with... you know, it hurting Threadripper sales, too. Because, yes, Threadripper 5000 is coming. We know that it's happening. We don't know when. But AMD has said that is coming. That is a thing. And well, yes, it's already a thing. I mean, for where they're actually selling them individually instead of in pre-built systems from Lenovo or Dell or HP, or... I know Lenovo has the current... Well, had the first, at least, first offerings, but I think other companies have since been announced. But no, I also do think, though, that a 5950X3D would just... That would demand such a high price, I don't think that they could sell. Not unless they decided, we're going to lower the price of all the 5000 series. Could they? They could. Will they? I wouldn't until Zen 4 is, like, not necessarily here, but it's like, here's the date on the calendar. Because I do think it would be a bad idea if they... I do think it would be a bad idea if they increased pricing with Zen 4. One of the criticisms that I remember for the 5000 series, and from what I'd seen, yeah, it's kind of true. I haven't looked too closely at a lot of that stuff for a while. But that they kind of increased the pricing instead of just replacing the 3000 series with 5000 series. They did increase pricing. Okay? And part of that was just they could. Intel didn't really have a way to compete with it. And so, why not? I mean, you might be thinking, well, you know, increasing pricing, that doesn't help the consumer. Yeah, but, you know, they make products for the consumer to buy, not for the consumer to just have. I guess is one way to put it. So it's like they do need to, you know, try to make as much money off of you as they think is possible. And, yeah, 5000, they kind of exploited that. Is that something that we will... I'm hoping that with Zen 4, which is Ryzen 7000, that will reset to a degree. Which, if they do that though, they'll also need to bring down Ryzen 5000 pricing. At least unofficially. You know, like, just allow it to be sold more cheap. Or just, you always find it more cheap. Yeah. But a 5950X 3D, even bring down all the pricing, that would still have to be sold. Amazing, but just so expensive. But yeah, I could see that. Whoops. Doing that. I could see it just having the issue of it performs so well that it would outcompete Zen 4, especially because it's like, oh wait, we can get this amazing level of performance without needing to go to a new platform. We can just use, you know, like in my case it would be a B450, but for some people I can use an X370 motherboard that I've had for, you know, 5 years. Update the BIOS, put that on there, and just make sure I've got enough cooling and this will work. Or I could spend, you know, $1,500 on a X770 for the 16-core Zen 4 CPU with 16 gig of DDR5 memory. It's like, yeah, 5950X3D would win that. But I would say I don't think that they would necessarily do a 5600 X3D and not do a 5900 X3. Just, I think it's safe to say that the three main 5000, 6-core, 8-core, and 12-core are probably the cherries. Like, those are things you want to have for AMD. That the 6-core handles the people that don't need more and don't also need to spend all that money. My brother's looking at building a new computer. I managed to convince him. He was thinking in 5950X, and it's like, no, you don't need that. You really don't need that, Roy. Just don't.
Bye-bye, baby.
But it's like, no, the 5600X is all you need, and managed to convince him that's what he's gonna get. For so many reasons, it's better for him to get that.
Roads, Scorpion, are the bloodstream of the roaches. But the government troops are trying to cut off our main arteries and bleed us dry by blowing up our main distribution roads. You must stop them and disarm any bombs before they explode. Help us keep the roaches' blood pumping, friend.
So 5600X 3D would make sense. Because it'll get you more, but not necessarily be insane. The 800X 3D, well, the 8 just a good performing 8 core makes some sense because it
Don't just stare at it. Get rid of it!
And then, you know, the 8 core is just nice because it's sort of, if you know you're going to need more, but you don't necessarily need a lot more, you don't need a 12 core, it makes sense. And then if you do need a 12 core, 900X 3D would make perfect sense. It's just, do you need a 16 core? Probably not. So 5950X is, you know, Halo product for those that do need that stuff. And then on the low end with the 4 cores, it's like, well, that's for people that, you know, basically just need a machine. So yeah, I can see, you know, the 6, 8, and 12 core being the main core, so it makes sense to try to target those for the VCAT. But it's also the whole, you know, is it actually feasible? Is it intelligent to spend your resources that way? That is only something I can speculate at, and I'm unsure. I'm unsure. I don't think I'm gonna make it, by the way.
Good work, Scorpio. You have disarmed half the bombs, but half is not enough.
I mean, it does help that with this I have not only armor, but I have weapons, but it's gonna be hard to do. One thing I did see somebody speculate about, I don't know how accurate it is, that one of the weaknesses supposedly for 5950X is its memory bandwidth. And that basically that it's hard with its memory bus to feed all the cores, which would suggest then that by expanding the V cache, that might be something that is addressed. Alright.
Good work, Doctor. Now the blood of the roaches will flow freely again.
Actually, no, I will take the road. This is beat up, I don't need further. Although, how long have I been going? 50 minutes, you know what? Now, I'll keep going. I'll do this one more mission. Because I want to get as much use as I can out of this, and when I save and reload, I will not have it. It's like, I bought it, I want to make sure I use it. course, there's one other thing about the whole, if they were to do a 5600X3D or 5900X3D, that would mean a new BIOS. That would mean you would need new BIOSes for all these things. Which, I mean, some people, I don't think some people understand exactly what is involved with some of this stuff. But, because I have seen some people complain and criticize that, oh, AMD really listened to your friends. See, they lied to you because they said that you couldn't have 5000 series support on the going back to the 300 series and even some of the 400 series motherboard. But see, now they did it. They were lying for it. It's like, no, they probably weren't lying for it. They probably legitimately thought that they couldn't fit it all in there. They then figured it out. And that figuring out could have been they had to figure out a new compression method. They had to figure out ways to reuse code way more efficiently than they thought they could. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. It's like, it was not a lie when they said that you can't support... Come on. When saying that, no, we can't support the full complement of Zen CPUs on a single 16 megabyte BIOS chip. I mean, yeah, it is weird how people seem to think that because something is true now, that must mean that it was true before. And it's like, that's not how technology works. That really is not how technology works.
It was worth every minute.
I'm actually gonna get a drink of water. Oh, that's bad. Okay, you know, I'm actually gonna back this thing up. And I just have one thing to say, not that anyone watches this far. Nobody watches these anyway. So the whole, you know, like, hey, you can jump on here and all that, it's like, that would be most effective if you could have a driver and you could hop on this. This is a game that definitely does at times feel like it should have had multiplayer. They did make a multiplayer mod for it. Well, somebody did. And there is the whole, will we see a Just Cause 5 coming? Because of who now, I think I did see that, yeah, Square Enix did sell this to Embracer Group, along with Tomb Raider and all that other stuff. And Deus Ex, I think, was on that list. And they said, yes, we do want to do a Just Cause. Hopefully they will decide, you know what, we're actually going to ship this with multiplayer.
These capitalist serpent politicians gladly take our bribes, but they never honor their side of the agreement.
Then why do you bribe them?
It's time to show them we have to be taken seriously. Once it has gone to air, this video recording will set the nation ablaze. So, comrade, go to the Panau News Network. We'll stream the video to you there. Then it's up to you to use their equipment to transmit the film. There will be riots in the streets tonight. Haha.
I mean, seriously, if you're gonna try to bribe somebody and you can't trust them to, you know, keep to it, then don't bribe them. But there's also the whole, if they're accepting the bribe, it's kind of, it's one of those, once you're caught, once you're involved in something nefarious, you're stuck because you aren't going to lose all. It's kind of like the whole, hang on. I think I might need to turn. Yeah. Like a double agent can never be trusted by either side. Because once you've betrayed one side and the other side knows that, you became a double agent, now both sides know we can't trust you. So you will never have, you know, a high level of anything. Yeah, with anyone. I So it is the whole, once you do something that you can be blackmailed over, essentially, once you take these bribes so that somebody can extort you, you're already compromised, you're done. It's better to not do it, or when it gets into a situation, you just basically turn state's evidence kind of thing. I'm sorry, it's just one of those, you watch enough movies or television shows where you see that situation, and it's like, yeah, you should have never gotten into it, or you should have, as I said, just go state's evidence, because you're screwed. You're not getting out of this. You've already compromised yourself, giving somebody power over you. There's not an easy way out of that. It's kind of one of those... I kind of wonder, am I able to destroy that? Maybe if I'm closer, but yeah, sometimes the best way to learn a moral from various movies and television is to just remember these people are stupid. So start thinking, okay, what would the smart thing be here to not get involved with this here? You don't take the bribe, they can't, they now have no power over you. Also, acknowledge, tell somebody about the bribe, preferably law enforcement. Because that way, if they do try something like lying, that you did take the bribe, well, maybe you're working with the police then to, get them caught. So it's, whereas if you just do it yourself, then you're not really gonna try to do it yourself, then why should anyone believe that, it isn't true that you didn't take the bribe and are now just trying to get out of it. It's kind of the whole, and part of the reason I'm thinking this is, there's an episode of A-Team on today that involved a rich man's child being kidnapped. Well, she was in like 20s, potentially so. Yeah.
You must line up the
Not exactly, fully a child, but what?
Soon, very soon, the uprising will begin. Comrade, my body trembles with anticipation.
Okay. But it's kind of like what you see in Assassin's Creed 2. I don't think it was Brotherhood or Revelations. Well, it definitely wasn't Revelations, but I don't think it was in Brotherhood, where a woman's children are kidnapped, and her response is, I can just make more. Which is not inaccurate, but it was, she was faking, to a degree. She was,
Be careful, comrade! They have sentry guns!
Yeah, I see that. Sorry, I was in a bad crossfire. I don't really know how I could have handled that. But it's like, sometimes go on the offensive, or sometimes just completely change it. So like with this one, it's like, ransom demand for your daughter. What would happen if you faked your death in that situation? It's like, it's only you. So now your money will be your estate's money, right? So they can't, do anything anymore.
Will begin. Comrade,
because you're not going to be able to ransom with an estate. That is not how that will work. So yeah, I mean, it's, that could be an answer. That could be a solution. I mean, true, it'd be like, fake your own death, which is going to be a hassle, but still is, if you can manage that, then you've at least bought yourself time.
Enemy located! All units attack on site!
Okay, that's weird.
Line. 2 to go.
Damn it. Now, does it save that I did the 2 dishes? We'll find out.
We are ready to send the video, comrade.
No.
You must line up the 4 dishes on the platforms to initiate the download. Soon, very soon, the uprising will begin. Comrade, my body trembles with anticipation.
Damn it, despawn. Ow.
Be careful, comrade. They have sentry guns.
Yeah, they're not really the best sentries, are they? If one shot can do that.
Enemy sighted! All available units advance!
Aligned. 1 to go.
There we go.
We will feed you the broadcast. Stand by. Place 2 bombs around the antenna so we can blow it up after the message. Kane shall not air some soothing pop video or soap opera to calm people's feelings this time. People of Panau, this video was recorded 2 weeks ago in a Panawan military prison. The man being tortured was innocent of the crimes he was charged with. After the torturers were done with this man, he was executed and fed to the pigs. This is the way you can expect to be treated by a Panawan military if you are brought in for interrogation. If you have friends or family who have disappeared and are now nowhere to be found, chances are that this is what happened to them. The time has come for the people of Panau to strike back against the oppressors. The time has come, Panawans, to lift the steel-clad boot from your neck and throw the oppressors down. Do not be a victim of your own fear. Your destiny is in your own hands. Scorpio,
I don't want to
get
be
out before it blows.
Can I have my parachute back?
And that concludes our broadcast day.
I want to see if I can pick up the stuff I missed earlier. As in the, pickups.
Very good, my friend. Another case found.
Wasn't there one over here? No, I guess not.
There is no need for alarm, citizens. Please stay indoors. For the duration of the day, we will now play a selection of soothing music in honor of our great president, Pandak Panay.
I'm not entirely sure why it was not letting me open up my pitch. Based on the radar not going off, I think I'm done up here. Okay. There. I'm gonna stop now. The fact that there's stuff for me to blow up makes me think it's not worth trying to clear this area. And I certainly passed an hour. Yeah. I was not expecting that last mission to take me that long. Expecting it to be much shorter like the ones I did before. Alright, that'll be it then. See you next week, and for those of you that are celebrating, happy 4th of July. For those of you not, enjoy the weekend. Goodbye.